The number one reason why most people will never get their manifestations isn't necessarily because they're doing anything wrong, but it's because they're stuck in a subconscious state that sabotages it. A state that is so sneaky, so convincing that it has millions of people right now thinking that they're manifesting their desires when in fact they're actually reinforcing the lack of it. It's a state that goes so deep within us, and we all occupy it at some point when it comes to our desires. But the majority of us are not aware that we're occupying it, and therefore we never leave it. And here's the thing, I want you to know that it's not your fault. You just need to understand the signs to look out for to see whether or not you're occupying this state. And you also need the steps of how to break out of this sneaky state. And today, you're in luck, because it's Friday and I'm going to gift you all of that right now, everything that you need to know to break down whether or not you're actually in this state, and of course how to get the hell out of it quickly. So a good way to tell, of course, is frustration. And how many of you are frustrated right now because you've been on this journey so long? I mean, longer than it's taken Frodo to get to Mordor. That long. No prizes for guessing what movies I've been watching lately. How many of you have been in that situation? It's just like, man, it feels like it's dragging. You've been on the journey a while, some of you weeks, months, some of you years. And you know that, I've been acting like a Zen master on steroids. You've been visualizing so hard that you feel like your third eye needs a prescription right now. Some of you have been affirming so much that your mirror deserves an Oscar for being your best supporting reflection. I don't know, I'm just coming out with all sorts here. But you've been scripting to a point that even Shakespeare would be proud of you. And yet, of course, you still find yourself in this pattern of watching more content, still trying to find out what is going on. What am I missing? Why hasn't the 3D reality not conformed? Still waiting, still wondering why it's taking so long. Nothing is happening. It just feels like you're at the never-ending queue at Disney for Space Mountain, and the ride just seems to be breaking down before you ever even get your chance. Everyone else gets to go on the ride except you. When is my success? When am I going to be next? How many of you have been in this situation? I know that we all have. And like I say, it is because we are unknowingly stuck in a state that I just call the waiting state, the silent killer of all manifestations and the ultimate dream blocker. This is why so many people actually get stuck for years. And it puts you in a state of absolute misery, depression, questioning yourself, questioning the law. And here's the hard truth about it. You know that reality isn't delaying your success. You are. And I've worked with countless of clients who are convinced that their desires were taking too long, and they came up all frustrated. They were ready to give up. A majority of the time, do you know what I actually realized with them? I realized that they weren't stuck. They just weren't noticing the movement simply because of this waiting state. It's putting yourself in God's waiting room where your number never gets called out kind of state. So we're going to get you out of the waiting room of doom in this video, okay? And I'm going to give you all the tools to do that. I'm going to explain to you what is truly meant about embodiment of the state as well, because I've noticed I think there's a bit of a misunderstanding around that. And like I said, I'm going to break it down step by step. First of all, the signs, the subtle signs to look out for as to whether or not you're occupying this subconscious sabotaging state, and step-by-step instructions how to break out of it. It's all here. That's my gift to you this Friday. Happy Friday, everyone. I'm ThenaRaven, and it's wonderful to have you here. Sit back, relax, grab yourself a hot drink, and I'm gonna start off by sharing a little story time with you all. So get yourself cozy. Coco's already cozy. He's all wrapped up in a heated blanket right now. And I'm here with my coffee. And I want to share with you all, first of all, how incredible the mind is and what inspired me to do this video. Aside from the fact actually that one of the girls on my Discord group, where I'd shared this story before with regards to my client as well, who's on there, she had asked me to share it in more detail because she thought it was really valuable that we were all occupying this state at some point. Like I say, every single one of us occupies it, particularly in the beginning. But what's valuable about this story is how powerful a state it is, that even things could be smacking you in the face right now. Reality could be saying to you, it's all working for you, and you will not see it. And that's why we feel like we're on this really long waiting game. You see, there's a client of mine that I met later end of last year. Beautiful girl, love you, my darling. Very kindly, graciously allowed me to share this. Now, I consider her a success. This is essentially, I think, a success story. Of course, we all have different ideas of success, and the problem was she didn't deem herself a success. That was the issue. Because when she came to me the first time round, she'd been on this journey roughly about a year and a half, specific person, of course, as well as various other goals. And though she'd been on the journey a year and a half, you see, in that time, she had not truly been occupying the state of being. She had not been embodying it. She'd been in a state of trying and therefore waiting. And so there was nothing happening with her SP. I'm not even sure if they were in any contact, really. And if they were, it was very, very sporadic, very rare. So we shift her state. I give her all the tools that she needs to go forward. She's empowered and she goes and does her thing. She's done amazingly well, because literally, I think I saw her in October, a couple of months later, she asks to see me again. And when she sees me again, she tells me about how incredible her life has been. Everything has turned around. Except, she says, except for SP. Now, what was interesting actually in our session, and I will share more in my telepathy videos, but since I've done that telepathy video, you know, I said to you guys, I'm going to test out thought transmission and telepathy. It's been off the charts. Anyway, on a subconscious intuitive level, I knew that she was a success. And I kept dismissing what she said. I kept saying, yeah, but you know, you're a success. So share with me the success. Share with me the good news. Literally, she was like laughing and stuff. And then she started to share with me more of the good news about how things had been really improving in her life in terms of her career. Things had been really improving in terms of financial abundance and various other things in her life. But she was still convinced that things weren't working with regards to her SB, because where she'd become so successful in other areas of her life, it made her, because she got into a slump, she fell into the waiting state again, which is no one's fault. It happens to all of us at some point. Like I say, we're never going to stay 24/7 in the same state. However, success in other areas of her life made her notice the absence in her SP situation, or so she thought there was absence. But when we broke it down, we realized that, hang on, SP came back. Hang on, he's been more in touch than ever. He spent Christmas and New Year's with you, which is not easy because it requires him to travel. And you're telling me that he's saying that he loves you, and he's saying things to you that he's never said before. And you're fixated on the lack and the waiting, because you're fixated suddenly on the fact that it's been a year and a half of waiting and how long it's going to take, and we're still not girlfriend and boyfriend yet, because he hasn't officially put a label on it yet. And so this is why she hadn't deemed herself a success. And what had happened was her mind completely fobbed off all of the amazing things that were happening all around her. And she opted for the waiting state, which made her realize, oh, time is dragging. It's been a long time. Oh, there's not really much happening. I'm still not where I wish to be. Forever putting herself in waiting, and therefore ignoring all of the wonderful symbols and signs and things that were happening all around her. You know, this poor boy was coming in and talking to her so regularly, and they're so connected even till now. And she couldn't see it at the time because of this state. It's incredible, isn't it? She also realized, after I'd spoken with her and we realigned, she hadn't really been on the journey a year and a half. Yes, she'd been learning and stuff, but she hadn't occupied the state of being for the last year and a half, only for a couple of months. And when I said to her, when we shifted your state when I last saw you, and you kept that up, how long has it taken for things to move with SP in the way that you never thought was possible? How long has that taken? And she just said, oh yeah, just a couple of months, not long at all. So do you see how clever this state is and how clever the mind is? Manifestation, you see, is about changing your inner world so profoundly that we're no longer dependent on the outer world to confirm it. It's truly important to remember that you're changing your inner world so profoundly that you're no longer dependent on the outer world to confirm that. So you can see why this isn't about waiting, because the only thing that you're really waiting on is yourself. If you're waiting, how can you manifest your desire if manifestation is no longer being dependent on the outside confirmation that this is who you are. That's how much we need to shift to. Think about it. We manifest every single day quite naturally. It is simply how I perceive the world. A projection of my inner state is manifest all around me. So when you truly own something about yourself, like say you really own your sense of humor, yeah, I've got a great sense of humor, or you own your intelligence. I know that I'm intelligent, or I know that I'm a great friend, or I know that my name is so-and-so. You don't wake up every single morning wondering, am I still funny? Is this still my name? Do I still have great taste in clothing, or am I still like a good friend? You don't ask yourself that. You don't check for validation, and you don't need people to agree or to confirm that's who you are. It's just a deep subconscious acceptance. And that's exactly how manifestation works. When you truly have shifted, you're not looking for the proof. You're simply just being it. And if you're still checking and you're still waiting for some sort of outer validation, some sort of confirmation, then you're not being it yet. You've put yourself in a state of becoming, of trying to be it. Now, many of you might have heard this in psychological terms. It relates to the concept of self-fulfilling prophecies. According to research in psychology, our beliefs and our expectations can unconsciously influence our behaviors and attitudes, which in turn affects the outcomes that we experience. And people truly do misunderstand this concept of embodiment and feeling yourself into the state of being. I mean, how many times you hear about this, right? We're all saying it. I think that's one thing that majority of people in this community state is like, you need to embody, you need to become the person who already has it, feel yourself into the state. What the hell does that even mean though? Because how many of you think that it means being delusional, pretending, pretend that I'm in a relationship now and be delulu about it and tell people that I'm married when I'm not, or tell them I'm driving a Ferrari, or that I'm a lawyer when I'm not that, but I'm just going to fake it until I make it? How many of you actually think that it's that? It's not about that. Let me explain it to you in detail so that you can fully understand what embodiment is, that you can do this from a subconscious level, and that's going to help you as well to get out of waiting and disappointment. Now, I want you to consider this. Number one, when you feel confident, think about what happens. Imagine it now, if you will. Just chill with yourself for a moment and just think of yourself as the confident, outspoken version of you that you ever wish to be. What happens? You might notice that you stand taller, that you speak clearer, that you take actions that reflect that confidence. Your chest is out and bold. Think about confident speakers, the likes of Tony Robbins, for example, shoulders back, chest is broad and wide. You're more open with your body language, and people feel that energy, feel that confidence. That's an example of embodiment on the subconscious level, when it actually affects your physiology and your physical stance. How about, say, number two, let's try another embodiment. How about loved? We all want to feel loved. So when you're embodying the state of love truly, you feel more open, more warm, you're more giving, and you feel safe and secure within yourself to give and to receive that love. And no matter what happens, you know that you're loved unconditionally, be it by your SP or your friends or your family. You know where you stand, so that even if they take a little longer to text you back, for example, you're not going to be freaking out and feeling insecure about that. You see, it's like on a subconscious level, I just feel so at peace where I am in relation to this person, because I know that I am the embodiment of love, unconditional love. Number three, let's do another embodiment. How about feeling successful? How many of you want to just feel successful in general, maybe business, maybe? So when you embody that state subconsciously, you're going to notice that externally, you start to make decisions from a place of assurance, knowing that it's all going to work out. And even if you're not sure it's going to work out, you're more willing to take the risk because you believe in your success, because you refuse to give up on your dream, because you choose to see opportunities instead of obstacles. And that's it. I'm just going to keep trying until I get that success. Failure is not a full stop for me. It's just a stepping stone to it. So do you understand what I mean now about embodiment on the subconscious level? That's what everyone is missing. We're doing techniques that perhaps make some shifts on a surface level, but then we're still actually at the very core of it on the subconscious level, occupying the state of waiting and dragging this out for years and years. Remember what Albert Einstein said, and I love this quote. This is so profound. You might want to jot this down, but he says that we can't solve problems by using the same kind of thinking we used when we created them. We can't solve problems by using the same kind of thinking that we used when we created them. We can't, right? It makes no sense. It makes no sense for me to do techniques and to affirm I'm, loved by my SP, or to script that I am successful in business, and then still look at life and react to life in exactly the same way. It's just not impressed. Either that method you're using isn't working, or it just hasn't gone deep enough yet. You've got to shift your mindset first before your reality will shift. Does this help? Are we getting it now? Grab a sip of your hot drink. It's actually a really nice day today in terms of warmth, not sun, of course. So does this make sense? I want you to think of this as well, if you will, because this is going to help you if you're suffering with some form of anxiety and detachment to your success, to your goals. Think of it like this. Non-duality emphasizes that there is no fundamental separation between the self and the universe. There's no separation between you and I. No separation between me and Coco, or me and the trees outside, right? We're all made of the same particles, and human beings, we all have the same awareness. So in other words, you and your desired manifestation are not separate entities. You are already one with your desires. And when you perceive yourself as separate from what you want, believing that your happiness or your sense of completeness depends on something external, which is what we all end up doing at some point, then what happens is we've created a dualistic mindset. We've now created some sort of invisible barrier here between where I am and where I want to be. And this mindset inherently involves waiting, because you're acknowledging that there's a gap between you and your desire. And then we're trying with the how and the when to bridge this gap, but it makes it so much harder if we see it in terms of separation. So see it in terms of one, see it in terms of within you. Remember, as within, so without, right? So if everything is within me, how can there be this separation? And I often try and think of my desires like this, that I take them off the pedestal, and so that I can accept them as something more achievable than something that is just like out there, impossible. Now, one thing I have noticed, the danger with many people, as I said before, the danger of this is that many people are unaware that they're subconsciously in the waiting state, because it's such a subtle form of resistance in many ways. But don't worry, because I'm going to uncover it with you now. So if you're curious, you might want to take some notes, and I'm going to give you some step-by-step to help you to ascertain if subconsciously you're occupying this state of waiting, the manifestation killer. Drastic. So number one, are you ready? Number one, I want you to practice with self-reflection and mindfulness. And by that, I mean going within and just observing what your thoughts are. Are you frequently thinking about, when is this going to manifest? If you've got thoughts about, I can't wait until, or when is it going to happen? This sort of language that essentially shows that you're waiting for it. You're waiting for something to change before you can change. Phrases like, I wish, and I hope, and I really want, is also suggesting that there is a degree of separation between you and your desires. So you might just want to check that. Pay attention to your language. That's what I do with my clients. I am analyzing everything they say, because there's an array of truth hidden under the surface they're not even aware of. But your language, what you say, it's revealing what is within your subconscious mind. So pay attention to that. Number two, emotional awareness. Feel your feelings. I understand that, like I say, in this community, you've been taught for some reason to fear your feelings, to block them out, to push them aside, to suppress them, especially if they're negative, affirm over them, right? Flip your thoughts. But please don't do that. It's a fantastic indicator as to what state are you occupying on a subconscious level. Remember, it's what you're occupying on a subconscious level, not a conscious level. So do you feel a sense of lack? Do you feel a sense of impatience or frustration when it comes to your desire? So these emotions can signal that you're more focused on the absence of your desire rather than the being, than the having, rather than it's a possibility. It's just too separate to you. A bit like my client. As soon as she went into the waiting state, all of the progress that had occurred with her specific person just went right out the window, and she was more focused on the absence of him formally stating that they're girlfriend and boyfriend, the fact that, oh, it's been a year and a half. It had actually been just a couple of months. But you see how the mind can switch the narrative as soon as we switch states. I want you to also pay attention to your body signals. Your body is going to be telling you a lot. So you'll be having physical sensations like tension, maybe some restlessness, maybe some tightness in your body. So feel that out. Where does that reside? And start to release that. Start to understand what are the thoughts behind that. What are the subconscious beliefs? Number 3, another big tell that you're in the waiting state is, of course, your behavioral patterns. Are you consistently checking the 3D reality? Are you repeatedly looking out for signs or evidence in the outside world? Things like, and I know many of you are guilty of this, or at least people I've spoken to at some point. We've all done this, it's okay. But stalking social media, for example, or checking messages, or going to tarot readers over and over again, that's a sign of checking too, where you're needing that external validation and you're seeking reassurance. Remember what I said, when you occupy a state, when you own something about yourself, even if it's, I have ADHD, or I'm a great dresser, or whatever it might be, my name is, I don't go to seek that external validation. I just know I have that self-assuredness within. Another thing that people do, and this has become a very toxic thing in the community, and it's ever so sad. I had this with someone who commented on my video before. They had a year ago shifted into the state of being, and they had reported incredible things happening in their life. Now, I don't know what happened in that year, but they'd obviously gotten derailed, perhaps seeing messages that had said they had to pretend, they had to be delusional, they had to do techniques all day long, and they had to put their life on hold doing manifestation techniques in order to change their reality. Now, what happened was obviously affected and impacted their mental health to such a degree, destroyed them. This is what destroys a lot of people. This is what gets a lot of people angry about the law and saying that it doesn't work and all of this business, right? It's because they're delaying their lives. Are you delaying your life? Are you putting things on hold? Thinking to yourself that, well, I'm only going to be happy when I get that fortune, when I get that success. I'm only going to feel content and fulfilled and loved when that SP shows me some sort of attention. Is that what you're doing? Some people are actually stopping their lives completely. They're not even dating anyone else because they're holding out for the SP to come back, or I'm not able to get the success for my business yet because I need to sort out my mental health. I need to become more confident first, or I need to lose weight first before I can achieve XYZ. Don't be putting conditions in the way of your desire. Don't be placing unnecessary obstacles and putting your life on hold. The idea is you are everything now. You can access every state now. So just dare to assume that you have it now in spite of everything that's going on around you. That's what you've always done. Let the bridge unfold, let it take care of itself, but please don't put your life on hold. It affects your mental well-being. That's not what this is about. We're not waiting for anything on the outside. So live your best life now, right this moment. There's an ancient analogy. I know that many of you would have come across this from Vedantic, I think it was philosophy, the mirror and the face. So think about it. You would have heard this. When you look in the mirror and you frown, the reflection is going to frown back at you, right? If you want the reflection to smile and say cheese and what other things you want your reflection to do, then it's going to be futile for you to just wait for your reflection to change before you do. And that's what this is all about. The universe, very similarly, is a mirror. And it's a mirror of your inner state. So whatever state you're occupying on the subconscious level, the universe has no choice but to reflect it back to you. If you don't believe that you're chosen or lucky in relationships, it has no choice but to reflect it back to you. If you believe that you've always lived in poverty and you're always going to be in a state of poverty and money is going to be really scarce and hard to come by and you've got to work hard, the mirror of life is going to reflect it back to you. It doesn't know, it's impartial. And you would have heard this before, the reticular activating system. Do you guys know how powerful that is? Do you know how powerful it is? It is so ridiculously powerful. I mean, when I try to describe it to my clients, they don't understand it. When I express it in terms of their life, that's why I say they sit there with their mouth open in shock. Like my client I had mentioned before. The fact that she just realized she had blocked out an entire unfolding where her SP has not only come back and gotten in touch more, but made the effort to come see her, spent Christmas, spent New Year's with her, is opening his heart up to her in ways that he never had. That's how powerful the reticular activating system is, because once I'm in the waiting state, I'm not the state of being the person who is loved by this person anymore, then I ain't going to see it, even if it's right in my face. That's the thing. The RAS system is the filter between your conscious mind and your subconscious mind. It's taking instruction from your conscious mind and it's filtering the world through that lens. That's why your beliefs and assumptions are so important in all of this, because that's the filter through which you're experiencing your reality. So if you're waiting, your reticular activating system is going to give you more of that experience of waiting. And that's how it works. And literally, it can be right smack in your face and you will not see it, because our minds can only focus on a tiny portion of reality at a time. So even if you're surrounded by all the reasons why you can have something, if I'm in the state of waiting, the state of I'm not it yet, I am not going to see it. And I'll be too focused on all the reasons why I can't be something, why I can't have something. Now, enough of all of that. Do you want to know how to shift out of this waiting state? And out of curiosity, actually, how many of you, when I was just giving you the sort of step-by-step to ascertain whether or not you're occupying the state of waiting, how many of you have actually found out that you're in the state of waiting now? Has it sort of flipped a switch with any of you? Or any of you thinking, oh, damn, maybe I have been waiting all this time? It's okay. There's no shame here. It's just about understanding it. I'm curious to know. And let's break down the steps of how you can get out of it. So, number one, I want you to embrace, as I mentioned before about non-duality and this sense of oneness, I want you to start embracing that. Use meditation, use mindfulness practices, use hypnosis. I'm a big advocate of it. I've gifted you guys various hypnosis on this channel. Access it. Practice being present. Practice quietening your mind and start to dissolve the illusion of separation between you and your desire. Because remember, what you desire is essentially within you. It is you. Feel unity with your desire. Feel at one with it. Knowing that everything that you seek is within you, has been seeking you as well. Number two, start to cultivate gratitude. Appreciate the now. Focus on what you already have. You see, gratitude is going to shift your energy from lack to abundance. And it's important for you to start to notice your successes. Every single one of you here now is sitting on incredible, amazing manifestation success stories. I know this because every single client I speak to, the more I speak to them, the more I realize they all have incredible stories that they're all sitting on, and they don't share it half the time. Like my client yesterday, incredible manifester, and she was like, you know what, I was contemplating it, but I didn't think it was a success because it happened so naturally and I wasn't sure. And trust me, everything is a success, right? Every dream and goal that you've accomplished, even if it felt too natural, even if it felt like a fluke to you, even if you had to work hard to achieve it, is still a success. I want you to acknowledge that. Acknowledge the small signs of improvement in your day-to-day, whatever you're manifesting, even if it's each day I'm feeling 1% better in terms of my mental well-being. I'm feeling more at peace, calm, confident with this. I'm feeling a little more detached now. Celebrate it. Celebrate every sign and synchronicity that you come across. And when you celebrate your milestones of achievement, rather than looking to everything that's missing all the time and struggling and striving, you're creating a peace within yourself now where things just flow to you, and you're creating this momentum that's going to gravitate you more towards your desires, towards more success. Why do you think I keep saying share your success like some sort of crazy woman? There's a method to my madness, guys. Everything I say, I'm impressing upon you in order for you to achieve success. That's why this channel is only for those of you who are serious about getting success, right? Because you're all going to get it. You're all in the right mindset. So start absorbing this and put it to practice. Number 3. Is it number 3? Losing count. Number 3, embodiment practices. Acting as if, which you've heard a lot about, but I don't mean in a delulu way, wear a wedding ring, tell everyone you're married when you're not, or that you're driving a Ferrari when you're not, or whatever. I just want you to behave like the person who already has what they desire in imagination, whether you are visualizing it, whether you are subjecting yourself to an inner conversation from the perspective of already having it, whether or not maybe you're doing a role play with your friends. So we've been doing incredible role plays in the Discord community on my sort of Sunday shift session with the group. It got everyone to step into the state and to talk about their perception and their experience from the state of having. And it was fun to do, a brilliant way to impress on an easy basis. I've also had someone in the Discord share an incredible technique that she's been doing that's really been working for her, whereby she voice notes herself. It's like a voice note from her future self to her friends, and she's talking from the perception of her future self who has what she wants. She's incredible, achieving amazing things. Many people on the Discord actually achieving amazing successes now. They're just being playful and open to trying out different things. So please try that out. It doesn't have to be something that is forced, like I say. It doesn't have to be hard work. I want you to find the joy, the peace, the love in what you're doing. And it's so easy to impress and to embody the state. It's so easy if you know how. I did it with a friend of mine last year who, and I'll share his success in more detail, but essentially I had a conversation with him in which I suppose I used a bit of covert hypnosis. Asked him to imagine his ideal job and scenario, because he was complaining about he'd never get this kind of work that he wants, and he's in so much debt and so much financial issues. And so literally I got him to step into the state, and only a couple of days ago he was just like, he's never known such financial abundance. He is out of debt. He's never known so much money. And this job, incredible job, was everything that he wanted, that he had manifested, that aligned with a job that he's already got. Like I said, I'll go into more detail in another video, but that was so easily impressed just from us having a conversation and me encouraging him. All right, he doesn't believe in the law, so it was a bit more covert, but me encouraging him to step into the state, and me also knowing better and stepping into the state for him as well. So you can do it as a team, do it with friends. Number 4, I want you to release attachment. Let go of the how and the when. I know I always say this, and it's easier said than done sometimes, but please just let go of the how and the when. You've got to trust that the universe is orchestrating everything perfectly. That's why I say, look at these old success stories of your own, or look at other people's success stories and see how every moving piece of the puzzle was taken care of. You want to practice surrender. You want to accept that you can't control every external outcome, but you can control your inner state. And that's what is important in all of this. That releases a lot of anxiety. That is much better for your mental well-being. Live your best life. This has been taken care of. I mean, when I did it with my friend, we impressed literally outside, sitting outside in the sun, all relaxed, having this conversation. Impression was made. I never thought about it again. And he was just living his life. And then opportunities arose for him, and he's just been going along with it, not knowing that this is manifestation. So let's end the video on a profound positive note. Eve, I had to include Rumi again, 13th century Persian poet. But there was something really beautiful in this particular extract. He says that your task is not to seek for love but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it. Seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it. I mean, actually, that gave me goosebumps, but I really sat with that, thought about what that meant. Think about it, right? What barriers have you put against your desires that are causing you to wait, that are taking you out of a state of flow, that are causing you to feel anxious? We shouldn't be feeling anxious and frustrated about our desires. Every time that you've set an intention for something in the past, like I want to be a lawyer or I want to drive this car, you sort of made that strong decision about it, and you lived your life knowing that every step, every moment that passed was a step towards that achievement, not a step of waiting for it to happen, but a step of working towards it. So try and remember that. Share your success stories and your experience in the comments below. I love hearing from you guys. Thank you for joining me. Happy Friday. Go and enjoy the rest of your weekend. I love you all. See you in the next video.